What do Mark McGwire, Roger Clemens, and Barry Bonds have in common? Besides the fact that they all broke records during their illustrious careers in Major League Baseball, they were all also prosecuted vehemently by the United States Congress for their use of performance-enhancing drugs, namely anabolic steroids, in order to help them achieve these records. Most recently, this version of the war on drugs was brought back into news headlines, with reports that Lance Armstrong, winner of 7 Tour de France titles, has abandoned his defense from the affront of the United States government, and in the process forfeited all 7 of his titles, claiming that enough was enough after spending millions of dollars on his defense. Drugs in sports have become such a contentious issue that presidents such as George Bush have even felt the need to include it among discussion topics during their State of the Union address speeches. The question for consideration, however, is not whether performance-enhancing drugs are wrong, or whether these athletes cheated at their respective professional sports, but rather whether or not the government should be concerning itself with steroids in baseball and other sports at all, while in the midst of war overseas, not to mention the worst financial crisis of our lifetime. The United States government has already spent millions upon millions of taxpayer dollars to prosecute these athletes. And for what result? An 0 for 10 showing in court after Barry Bonds was found not guilty on 4 counts of perjury, and Roger Clemens heard the same verdict on his 6 counts. Lance Armstrong, seeing Barry Bonds spend $25 million and 10 years of his life on his defense, decided to just call it quits, which I guess gives the government their first moral victory in this entire ordeal. But what exactly did they win? Did they help fix the economy? Did they help win the war overseas? Did they help bring soldiers back safely? No. In fact, they just wasted an astronomical amount of taxpayer dollars on multimillionaire athletes. The House of Representatives claims 2 main reasons for their war on steroids in sports. The first reason is that they've been found to be hazardous to our health. The second is that it ruins the integrity of the game. The first reason, however, can't be true, for if it were, alcohol and tobacco would have been rendered illegal years ago. Alcohol alone kills more people in a year than anabolic steroids will in a decade. The second reason is trickier, however, as the first issue to consider is whether the government has a role in ensuring fair play in sports at all. The only real legal precedence, per the American Journal of International Law, is when the New York Supreme Court ruled that questions of sportsmanship and fair play depend on rules of said sport and are not suitable for judicial review. It is clear that the Obama administration is following the blueprint of what worked for George Bush in his re-election campaign in 2004, when he took a hard stance on performance-enhancing drugs in baseball, resulting in much celebration among fans and journalists, along with much more positive reviews, but ultimately led to the wasting of millions of taxpayer dollars and arguably no reduction in performance-enhancing drugs in baseball at all, as evidenced by All-Star MVP Melky Cabrera's positive test earlier this summer. It is high time the government quit worrying about the athletes and let their respective sports be the judges. The extent to which these drugs enhance performance and endanger the user is not yet clear, and so, with far more pressing issues at hand, the government needs to abandon this ploy for popular support and spend more time and resources tackling the real issues. From the Political Bouillon, I am Jordan Sazant.